What are some monsters/entities/strange things that have terrorized you in your nightmares? Satan, demons, shapeshifters, false idols, the Antichrist, aliens, and a few others. I've never actually had a bad dream, that I remember at least. So I couldn't say Anon. Jealous supernatural lover, but our relationship has improved since then. I've had a few dreams about Pickrell. I've had an encounter with it, so it doesn't bother me that much. First nightmare 1, me and a friend were driving through the back of some open-air depot. The driveway was gravel. It was night out. We were driving in a truck. I spotted it lying flat along the ground trying to blend in with the white gravel. I told my friend to run it over. However, the thing was so damned fast and agile it was weaving in between the tires as we tried to run it over. Dream ended there. Another one, I was alone in a house. I came up to the second-story balcony, which had a glass door entrance. It was staring at me through the door. The house was unlit and it was nighttime out. Pretty scary, and the dream ended there. Had a nightmare involving a mildly cartoonish, JPified T-Rex that had trapped my friends and I inside a house, and we couldn't leave since it would keep its mouth open at the doors and try to devour us. Anytime I went to a new room with windows, its eye would be peeking through a random window just staring at me. I've already done so several times, but here you go. Me and my friend drove to an isolated spot near a creek to do some drinking. We feel like we are being watched when we pull up and park. A few minutes later, all we are doing is watching behind us, parked backwards to the wood line, and I see a pale white form standing out from the darkness. Its skin was like dry old dusty leather with varicose veins that are blue. I freak the fuck out and tell my friend to drive away. As we drive away, me and him see the damn thing run across the road. It was incredibly fast and I saw it just barely long enough to make out its form. It was tall, had skinny arms and legs and an unusually small but round head, compared to its body. We drive away a few miles and it fucking follows us down the road. It kept up with the car. We park at a lit parking lot that had cameras over it. It pops up a few hundred feet in front of us near some bushes and an unlit road. We take some pictures, but they are of a quite shit quality for a multitude of reasons. Pickrell is the one picture we got that shows something, a pair of eyes. After an hour we decide to drive to the center of town to a 24/7 gas station for water and human contact. It was 2 a.m. at this point. We exit the parking lot but are stopped at a light before the main road. To my right is a grove of trees. Friend says he saw something moving over there. My eyes adjust and I see the upper portion of its head peeking from behind a tree. It was staring directly at me. Its eyes seemed huge, but it was in fact its eye sockets which absorb almost all incoming light. I couldn't look away, and after a minute of probably the most horrifying, traumatic experience of my life, I tell my friend to drive away. The moment I could no longer sustain eye contact, I broke down into tears for about 30 seconds. Words cannot fully describe how terrifying and evil these things are, and I had the luxury of encountering it from the safety of a car. The Hat Man. Multiple times. I'm not sure if he's real or not, but the first time I saw him in a dream I was 8. Scary fella. One time I had a dream that my house was by itself in a big field with a forest around the edge, and these 20 feet tall bear-like creatures with gorilla heads, that only had one dark red eye, and black quills instead of hair, started coming out of the forest and surrounding my house. They got really close and then all stopped in place and started to vibrate and convulse. Then I woke up. Usually a normal animal that climbs over my fence to kill my dogs, and I've got to fight it away. Mostly it's bears and mountain lions, but last week it was a family of cassowaries. LOL. Anonymous 01/05/23, Thursday, 17:57:33 No 3377039 Play button 337752269. I block out the real terrors. I can't bring myself to remember them, and I never write them down despite writing down all my dreams. The scary ones I remember are the invisible ones that attack me. They triggered major traumatic events in my life. They came and held me down, many invisible hands, pushing. They wanted to put me under the bed. I googled it afterwards, and in some cultures they are called kabos, or the pressure. These nightmares were terrifying. It was as vivid and ordinary as real life until the pressure took hold of me. I have also had a booming voice say my name, audibly, in what felt like waking life, though it must have been hypnagogic trance. I was attacked in a dream again a couple weeks ago. Here are my notes for that dream. He was tall and lean. Dark. I told him I was sorry and that I didn't mean any harm. I told him I wanted the best for him. I was looking out for him. His hand reached out to me. I had a feeling his gesture was violent, but I caught his hand and pressed it to my chest lovingly as I told him I just wanted the best for him. I wanted him to not. His hand was pressing closer and I felt as though his hand was rising up my chest to my neck, and I almost leaned into it. My eyes became blurry. I stared directly at him as I told him repeatedly, I just wanted to know you, I just wanted to know you. As I looked at him I saw his entire being was nothing but a black blur, a smudge, a smoke, pure black. I just wanted to know you. I woke up with my hand at my chest and a strange feeling at my throat. Did I feel something behind me? Touching me? I was terrified that I was not alone. I remembered the Hawaiian cords that travel from the crown and imagined something there, at my cord, at the crown of my skull. My right ear was flat to my pillow. I heard a sound like buzzing, like a breath, loud, like my ear was cupped by a seashell or like my something was breathing heavily close to me. You are literally God in your dreams. Stop being a pussy and face your demons. Old woman in my closet. I have a recurring nightmare where an old woman crawls out of my closet on the floor. She crawls out on her arms, but I can't see her other half. She looks up at me with a smile on her face. I usually try to run away, but one time I tried to fight her in the dream, but I woke up before I could get back into my room to fight her. It's getting ridiculous at this point. I put a seal on my closet and stopped having the nightmares since. I think she's some kind of malevolent spirit that is residing in my closet, waiting until I'm asleep, then giving me nightmares and feeding on the negative emotions. Gonna figure out a way to absorb her bitch ass, then I'll undo the seal and consume her essence like a vampire. Grew up in Canada, and we had a channel called YTV, I think it's still around. But anyway, there was this show back in the mid-90s, with these three puppets. I think they were white and they each had different colored hair that was made from sparkly tassels or something. Anyway, there was a red one which I think was the leader, a blue one and a green one. For some reason I think they were a band or something. Only thing I can remember is them kinda bouncing around on a puppet stage thingy, with their hair flying all around. Very hazy memories of them. I've tried finding the show over the last 2 decades but I cannot find anything relating to it. So, on to the good stuff. Around 1994 to about 1997 at the old house I lived in as a young kid, I would have these nightmares every night of these 3. I am 30 now and can still remember some of them vividly. These dreams always felt very real and I always dreaded going to bed every night because I knew they would come. They always started off with me in bed waking up at some point in the middle of the night after my mom had gone to sleep. I had a night light on and always had my radio on with the oldies channel on, so old boomer music from the 50s and 60s would be playing. So, I would awake in my race car bed, which was facing the bedroom door and the only light would be from my night light, so pretty dim. I could see the hallway. The white walls were always a certain nighttime blue hue and then blackness at the end of the hallway where the bathroom was with the stairs to the main floor off to the left. I would always be awake for a few moments and then I would hear voices coming from downstairs, like whispering voices, like mischievous they were up to no good. They would be talking coming to get me. Then I would hear running up the stairs, and the 3 puppets from the show would come running from around the corner of the stairs into the hallway into my room to get me. I would wake up every time. I would wake up every time they were about to kill me. Here's the kicker, they looked absolutely nothing like the puppets from the show. They were always adult-sized in height and medium builds, not too lanky or bulky. Their hair was always really long and poofy, almost like the hairstyles you'd see on glam metal band members. They always had paper white skin and these paper white jumpsuits with stripes going across from their mid-arms and chest. Their hair and stripes on their jumpsuits were the same colors from the actual puppets on the show, so red, blue, and green. I remember the eyes on each of them were black with tiny white pupils that glowed, and they had sinister grins with razor-sharp teeth. They fucking horrifying. Legit getting shivers typing this out, remembering these things and the setting. I can still remember it like it were yesterday, the smell of my room, the droning sound of oldies music playing, and these freaks making a mad dash up the stairs and into my room, surrounding me in my race car bed, getting ready to eat me with those sharp teeth. Anyway, this one dream I remember the best. I awoke in my playroom in the middle of the night, which was down the hall next to the bathroom, which was down the hall from my bedroom. It was a spare bedroom, with a blue circular rug in the middle of the room. I remember waking up in the middle of the carpet with moonlight shining into the room, being the only light source in there. I was facing the door into the hallway, which was pitch black. I remember thinking to myself in the dream, how did I get here? They'll be here soon and I'm not in my bed. I had a feeling of dread overcome me and was thinking of booking it to my room, but was paralyzed with fear and didn't move. Sure enough, moments later I heard them down in the living room, walking and whispering. Then the footsteps coming up the stairs. I saw the silhouettes come around the corner of the stairs and they bolted into the playroom, quickly surrounding me, laughing like psychos and making these noises like I don't even know how to explain. They sounded psychotic, and were about to eat me. Then I woke up in bed, scared as fuck, lel. I've had ones about my family being overly mean, the God of War berserker, zombies, and a weird scary YTP like rocking chair ghost scene of just this photo. Woman W, her torso on backwards, she undoes her robe shoulder blades where her tits should be plus flees from me. Nurse spider, head shrinker, animatrix frag order, choose napalm. Amy Lee in an icy forest, pitch skin plus bony plates, watch her videos, she likes to dress plus she's big, Vishnu reborn from mud plus earth. Uncle died, germ wanker, last words, Chilean sea base makes you shit. Also ancestral Arapaima fossil destroyed in Luftwaffe raid over Europe. Not really a monster, but for the last 2 nights in a row I've had weird roadkill dreams where I'm driving and the road is just completely littered with large bodies of animals. The first night it was multiple deer, bears, horses, and dogs, and just now I woke up from the same nightmare, but it was even bigger, more exotic animals like camels, lions, elephants, etc. I even saw a few human corpses and severed heads littered on the road. I've never had a recurring dream until now. What the fuck is going on? It's not like I watched a horror movie recently or anything. A trio of triangular-headed figures. They first came when I was a young child, during a night terror. Just standing there, staring at me with their eyeless forms. Now they're commonplace throughout my nightmares, be it one of them or all of them, there's always at least one there. Just last night I had a dream of an incredibly tall woman sitting in a room in my house that kept calling out to me. Even while seated, her head was many feet above mine, and her face was covered by shadows. She seemed impossibly tall and imposing, almost as if the entire room warped around her size. Her very presence screamed evil. First time I've seen her, hopefully the last. A demonic deer/moose with a flat humanoid face with round amber eyes, surrounded by several floating demonic heads. An old hag. A boneless, meatless pile of human skin that shrieks like a banshee. spiders and other animals like sharks, bears, and snakes. A deep feeling of nostalgia. Or of lost potential. I dream that I'm back in my college years, my first apartment, and see how everything has changed. Someone else lives there now, but I want to go back. I try to sneak in or convince the landlord to let me pay her for the room as if it was a hotel. I travel back to Vancouver with ease, like a simple hop into the subway, and I travel across 2 countries to be back in downtown Vancouver. I show my friends and family how I used to live and how I used to feel. It's bittersweet. A few years ago I had the feeling that Satan was trying to enter me while I was sleeping. It's not exactly a dream, I was aware of me being asleep and I didn't really see anything. It felt hot, and sounded like rumbling your ear. Afterwards I woke up sweating. For some reason I knew Satan was trying to get into me, however I wasn't scared at all. I knew that I wouldn't let him inside of me, so there was no need to worry. It was basically me saying, "You are trying to get into me, but I won't allow that." After a minute he stopped and I immediately woke up. I'm usually not very religious, I'm just visiting /x/ as a tourist, but I think about that situation a lot. When I was a teen I had a nightmare that I was hiding in the back room of a costume shop, full of like Batman and Joker related stuff cause I had been playing Gotham City Imposters LOL, but a creature broke through the door and picked me up. And it was probably one of the most real sensations I have felt during a dream. The thing itself was tall and hunched over and skinny, with very long arms that were bent in the middle. They kinda looked like Freddy's arms when he stretches them. It picked me up and forced me to look at it. I couldn't really discern any of its facial features except its eyes cause it just looked blurry I guess. But the eyes themselves were just kinda holes that seemed to squirm and move like they were full of worms. Also for some reason it had hair kinda like a Raggedy Andy, but less orange and more red. I looked up long skinny creature kinda as a joke, but this pic here is similar, especially the bend in the arms, but the thing in my dream was less skinny, more bulky looking, had wide shoulders despite being pretty skinny overall. I always hate these threads because I put a lot into what I write and no one replies, but whatever. I'll keep them short and sweet then. These are the ones that really stick out. One dream turned nightmare has me running first person through a nice neighborhood on a windy spring day. However, all of these houses were right next to each other, only divided by their fences with a bit of yard grass in between. I turn around and look to see a tornado forming above me. I make a quick decision to break into someone's home to seek shelter. Inside it was scary quiet, as if it was me in a void. I hear the sound of someone snoring off in the distance. I close in and notice an elderly Chinese man dressed in an ornate, red Chinese robe. The kind a Kung Fu grandmaster would wear. He looked to be napping sitting down on his couch. The living room was surrounded by authentic martial arts weaponry and ancient artifacts. I hear something crunch under my foot, and before I could realize what it was I hear a deafening scream coming from the old man. Think those baby plants from Harry Potter. It all happened so fast, but in a matter of 1 second he gets up from his couch, draws a blade-chained looking weapon, and everything turns to black. I assume I died before I even hit the ground. I had a nightmare about the cartel capturing me and my grandma and getting us ready for a video. I straight have a phobia of Mexico because of the cartel. Another was where I was a king of some ancient Sumerian-style city-state, surrounded by absurdly tall guard walls. About the size of a 15-story building. After I take a tour of my city and met with all of my subjects, I could tell I was a beloved leader that was trusted and respected, though I could also tell that some of the elderly and mature people seemed uneasy about something else going on. I finally demanded my royal guard, after their many efforts to divert my attention, that I wanted to see what was beyond those walls. They finally conceded, and led me to one of the doors opening to a winding staircase. I reach the top and am heart-struck by what I see. Surrounded on all sides, approximately 3 miles, 5 kilometers, of desolate no man's land separated us and an extremely hellish mountain range that encompasses our city full circle. The mountains were covered in dark black ash cloud with intermittent thunder illuminating the silhouette of jagged peaks and red-hot hell. They seemed to close in. I couldn't quite tell, but it seemed as it was creeping closer and closer. I finally realized then what the walls were for. I looked at my one guard accompanying me. He looked defeated, almost as if he wanted to cry. We said nothing, but understood. There was nothing that could be done. We were all going to perish. I had a dream vision a while back where I was apparently a Soviet conscript in World War II. I'm laying in a slight depression, surrounded by corpses, lots and lots of corpses. It's raining shells. There's some blown out ruins ahead of me at about 400 meters distance, and I can see what are apparently the enemy being silhouetted against the sky through the windows and cracks of the buildings. It's cold and drizzling, the sky is gray, and the ground I'm laying on is muddy. There's apparently an advance by them because then they're right up on top of me, 20 meters. That's when I realize that I'm not the only one laying in that pile still returning firing. There's movement as some of my guys jump up and are scurrying forward the best they can. I'm real low on cartridges, so I call out, "Hey, anyone there, you got any ammo?" I recognize the face of the man that runs up to me, a personal friend, though at the time I can't quite place him. He hands me 8 cartridges, 5 on a stripper and 3 loose. I notice he's not carrying a rifle. "Here, comrade, make them count." Sometime after that I dreamed I was in some garden with random trash about the place. There I met a little shadow girl with pigtails and a dress. She had a much more friendly and playful energy than the shadow adults I'd met. She was much more expressive in her movement and communicated more in body language than psychic communication. Lying in the grass was an old TV displaying static. The shadow girl was excited to show me that she could appear on the screen at will. A couple of years passed with no shadow people dreams until last year, in which I dreamed I was in a field with a gravel path. I saw a little kitten, so I petted it and then dropped onto the grass carefree and laid there on my back petting the kitten. I could hear kids running down the gravel path from behind me. This is when I realized I could no longer move. I was stuck laying there in the grass. As the footsteps of the children got real close behind me, I woke up from my dream in a sleep paralysis and saw 2 shadow children run past my bed and disappear. It was a holy shit moment, but I was not scared. I knew they were not there to harm me. Shadow kids have a calming energy. The most realistic as in dreams which stick with me involve a gray alien which was taller than usual with the same eyes but a what I perceived as malevolent smile standing at the end of my bed. It's just something I cannot shake. The same for consistent dreams of large flying saucers hovering near the Severn Bridge, which whenever I see that area in real life I get a weird sensation which is almost euphoric. There is a woman in white. She has no face, just a pink mass that I can't bring myself to look at, forced away like identical magnets repelling one another. She wears white, has long black hair, and is soaked to the bone. Giant lake monster, same classroom, repeatedly different people, 2 nukes, zombies, think I dreamed hell once, shot by gun twice, first one I exited from dead body, looked at it, the walked away, second time was just black. Everyone in dream suddenly stop what they're doing and turning head toward me with the same facial expression. Repeatedly dream about society collapsing and I'm always at the same house I have never seen before. Then I feel a panic to go down the hill behind the house because one time scavengers came. I go through the 15-foot hole that seems to be surrounded by ivy, and on the other side are railroad tracks about 25 feet below. Past the tracks are a forest of hardwood trees. 60 to 80 yards ahead of me is a bridge that reaches 40 yards above me perpendicular of the tracks. I have no idea what's on the right side or where I end up after the bridge, but I swear I've been there 100 times. I had a dream where I go into a fight with a friend that was quiet. He then grabbed a large knife and I was struggling to disarm him. He then got full control of it and stabbed it right through my armpit. and somehow got into my heart, not sure if that adds up logically, and I just felt my life draining and couldn't come up with anything as I look at him with my dying breath. I then woke up with a very temporary amount of heart pain, like as if it were stabbed. The scariest dream I ever had was when I was 7. It was about blue aliens. It happened in 3 parts. Part 1. I see a news broadcast talking about how blue aliens are planning on abducting people tonight. Part 2. My mom and dad are sitting on the porch talking about the upcoming alien abduction. I eavesdrop on their conversation. Part 3. I wake up in the middle of the night. I'm paranoid about aliens, so I go to tell my dad that I can't sleep. I'm walking down the narrow hallway to my parents' bedroom. Their bedroom door swings open, and my grandma, who didn't live with us, is standing in the threshold holding a basket of laundry. I can basically only see her silhouette. I ask her what she's doing. She doesn't say anything. Her eyes light up neon blue. She starts to pursue me down the hall. My mom emerges from the bedroom also with glowing blue eyes. They chase me. I try to run, but they catch me easily. They shed their human disguises and reveal their true alien forms. They look like grays, but they're a deep blue color. They put something like a brown plastic shopping bag over my head and start dragging me. They drag me through my sister's bedroom where she's sleeping. They take me out of her window and we're beamed up to their ship. That's when I woke up. Other than that, the only monster I can recall ever dreaming about is Bigfoot. In my dreams there's sometimes this entity that lurks on 4chan. Browsing along in Dreamacan. Life is happy and nice. Dreamacan is usually really funny and epic win. We'll be laughing at memes, shitposting, ROFLMAO. Open a random, innocuous meme for billionth time. Uh-oh. Is actually sleep paralysis demon. Rapidly changing AI-esque imagery starts flashing on the screen. Is a mixture of cute anime girls, MS Paint memes, and absolutely vile, very realistic gore and abuse. This droning, low-pitched scream, almost like a Half-Life zombie, combined with countless whispers all saying very personal and hurtful things, plays at max volume. What makes me think it's an entity is the smiley face made of burn marks that's usually constant with the image as it shifts through the various themes, taking the face of one of the characters and shifting to different ones as it morphs. Can get stuck like this for quite a bit before I finally force myself awake. Back in the year 2012 I had an incredibly vivid nightmare about fighting machines. I was somewhere I understood to be Northern California, near the coast. I was separated from my friends and family and fighting alongside a group of strangers. We had no uniforms, and there were women and unarmed people in our group. We looked like homeless people with guns. Suddenly this huge, dark cloud of whirling flying machines comes over the horizon. It came up and over one of those big, steep hills like they have in San Francisco. Countless machines actually darkening the area with their shadows. They looked like the man-hacks from Half-Life 2. There was so much fear and panic. We started retreating inside this shitty-looking building to hide. The windows were all boarded up and there were objects like mattresses and tables places against the walls and windows to make them thicker. We understood somehow that the machines could see through walls, and this was our crude effort to hide as deep inside the house as possible and avoid being seen. Walls bolstered by fucking mattresses and cardboard and whatever was there to sort of muffle their vision. We put the women closest to center of the house and posted up with rifles behind over. I remember being aware of them coming by the windows and looking for us. As the cloud of machines attacked, different parts of it split off and spread out down the alleyways and streets. It was like they all had one mind and each rotor thing was just a single digit of this gigantic organism. You could hear screaming off in the distance when they bore down on a particular house and discovered someone. It wasn't until around 2020-ish that I saw that Chinese footage of a drone swarms and recognized it from the dream. Yeah, last night for the first time. I had a dream, where I awoke in my room. basically indistinguishable from reality. Laying in bed, I look into my closet and I see an outline of pickrel. I was completely paralyzed besides my eyes, and I could talk. I could feel it pulling me into the dark closet, but then I recited the Lord's Prayer and it let me go. Was pretty scary. Any advice, /x/? When I was 5 I had a constant recurring nightmare of an owl who would sneak into my bedroom and torment me with poltergeist-type experiences. Sometimes he would pretend to be my friend as a way to deceive me into trusting him. One night in a dream he started flying at me aggressively and then pulling back at the last moment. I got a sense that he was trying to get me to attempt to attack him, knowing his skin was so strong attempting to hurt him would just hurt me, sorta like that scene in GITS where Major's arms explode trying to rip apart the tank. I somehow knew even deeper in my mind that I was strong enough though, and I seized the demon owl, dug my fingers into his chest, and ripped him in half, blood feathers and all, and slammed his carcass into the ground in victory, and woke up. Never dreamed about him again since. When I lived in a somewhat rural area that was expanding with new developments over time, I saw/heard/experienced a lot of weird shit. And other people have too. Since I don't live there anymore, I'll dox myself for the sake of storytelling. Place is called Cumberland Beach in Ontario, immediately across the lake from an Ojibwe reservation, and was Ojibwe land a long time ago. I'll start with my stories then move on to one I heard from someone I know. Story pertains to her childhood friend. Be me about 4 years ago now. Like going /out/ because nothing else to do in tiny community, no car. Huge development in backyard, gated, in construction at the time. Built on farmland. Cars lining surrounding streets because 3/4 of parking lot had to be not built due to uncovering of graves during excavation. Le Indian burial ground. Parking lot was on the back wall of the development, over the fence from neighbor's backyard. On the other side of development was long wooded road, was about 2 miles long. One side of road had woods belonging to gun club. Other side has patch of woods belonging to no one, was eventually bought by development. Road leads to other patch of woods, wetlands, unsuitable for building, so popular spot for hikers and such. Walking back from going hiking, is twilight. Walking down the long road with the woods. Footsteps double. Stop. Hear nothing. Start walking. Footsteps double again. Stop again. Hear loud panting right in my ear. Whip around. Nothing. Start speed walking. Speed walking doubles. Sprint. Hear panting, now more distant, until I'm 100 m from a house. Get back without incident. Later on that year. Walking down same road from my friend's house, he lives by the hiking woods. Midday, don't feel weird or anything. Look at ground. See snake skin. Inspect it. Not a snake skin, whole as snake, on the side of the road. Deflated, not flattened, bones still there, also too far off to the side to be roadkill. All organs missing, just skin and bone. Small, 1/8, diamond-shaped hole on stomach of snake. OK.png. All throughout that year random small stuff would happen at home. Every so often there would be rhythmic tapping on my bedroom window, ground floor, outside window was gravel with no vegetation. One night. Laying in bed. At the time was into Hotline Miami/Vaporwave/Outrun as it was popular at the time. Obligatory LED light strips under bed. Set to low red so it doesn't disturb me, but I can see where I'm going when I get up to take a piss at night. Feel fine, just watching YT on phone. Decide to pack it in. Put phone away, still sitting with back against headboard of bed. Internal monologue chimes in. Whatever you do, do not fucking move at all. Freeze. Could still move voluntarily, just really didn't want to. Black mass starts pacing the room in front of my bed, from one edge of my vision to the other. Just sitting there staring straight ahead for a good 10 minutes. All of a sudden, black mass disappears, fear subsides. When I was a kid I once had that nightmare. I was a drunk surgeon. Killed a patient while I was drunk. The spirit of that patient inhabited a doll. A doll out to kill me that followed me everywhere. Even in a plane, and no, I did not see that Twilight Zone episode with Shatner before doing that dream. In itself, it wasn't such an original or bad nightmare, although I was a bit automatonophobic at that time. But the thing that made it terrifying was that every time I went back to sleep, I was sent back to the beginning of the nightmare. Basically I made the same nightmare 4 times in one night, which made me feel really helpless. Now for the story I was told. L.E. white woman. Early 40s. Sitting at fire in backyard with husband, property backs onto woods. Mid-January, like -15 outside, but wearing sweater and sneakers due to fire. He goes inside for beer. Comes back out. Wife is gone. Goes looking for her. Calls the cops. 3-day search with helicopter, FLIR, nothing. On 4th day, friends of the family band together and go searching in the woods for her. Find her with light frostbite on fingertips, missing a shoe with no memory of anything past when husband went inside. Considering what she was wearing, she should have been dead by day 2. I used to have bouts of extremely disturbing nightmares and sleep paralysis for weeks at a time ever since I was like 11. Couple months ago I felt paralysis coming on, and cause I've experienced it so much before I just decided it was enough, so I broke out of it with willpower and haven't had any unpleasant nights since.
Mosey on down to the Atomic Shaman Trading Post. We have t-shirts, decals, refrigerator magnets and other swag for sale. What better way to show your support for the show? Our merch can only be found on t.pub/link/Atomic Shaman Trading Post. Like, share and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to ring the notification bell. You can follow us on Twitter at Motel and RV Park. Catch the live streams on Rumble. Listen to text-to-speech stories on Atomic Shaman TTS on YouTube.